Welcome to the Offline Podcast with John Jackson. Hey, we want you to subscribe to our podcast and join our team. Show us some love on this video by hitting like. We also welcome comments and questions. So visit theofflinepodcast.com to stay connected with us. Today we've got a very special guest, and this former NFL player played for Texas A&M, and he was the 9th overall draft pick for the Miami Dolphins. First round, of course. He had 7 consecutive Pro Bowl appearances, 2-time All-Pro, first team, 2-time All-Pro, second team. And he played 11 years with the Dolphins. But he also is a Dolphin honor roll recipient, which he was the 16th person inducted into their honor roll. With any further ado, our guest, Richmond Webb. Hey, Richmond, how you doing there, fella?
Good afternoon, John. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Long time no see, brother.
It's been a long time since we had that orange and black on, but it's always good to kind of, visit with former teammates. And, man, I'm glad you had me on your show. Looking forward to it, and I know we're going to have some fun. So.
Oh, yeah, we're going to have some fun. So our first segment is called First Down. And, Richmond, tell me your first fumble recovery in the National Football League. No, this is kind of a good story.
I don't know if I can remember the first one. One that sticks out is I think we may have been playing the Colts or whatever, and the ball, I went to dive on the ball, but you know how it is. If you're the first one on the pile, I can remember about 3 or 4 helmets seemed like they was going in my back, and about 2 or 3 days later, I can remember my shoulder and stuff was on, and I couldn't figure out, and I had to remember back. And I jumped on that ball because, they'll form a pile around you, and then everybody tries to do whatever it is to get control of that ball, especially if the ref doesn't see you recover it and make a call right quick. You can recover it, but if they stay down there long enough.
Oh, yeah. So my first fumble recovery was like this. My dumbass picks up the ball and starts running with it.
No.
and dude, I got waxed. That was the first and last time I ran with the ball. They hit me so hard. Yeah. I was ready to go get a baseball bat and beat the crap out of everybody. I mean, I was hurting. And
But you know what, John? I think it's every lineman's dream to feel that glory or whatever, to get up and actually run with the ball. But like you said, once you get hit, you'll be like, you really want to put some pain on somebody, but at least you got to experience it once. So,
but dude, I lost that glory when I ran with that ball. I was like, I'm gonna stick to what I do best.
That's it.
Blocking. That's all I want to do in life is just block. I don't want to run the ball. I'm not running the ball. Okay. What about your first playoff game? How was that experience?
First playoff game was, thank goodness, it was in Miami. My rookie year, we went 12-4. And the first game was against Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, they had Neil Smith and playing against Derek Thomas. And did play against him during the regular season, but when I was at Texas A&M my junior year, he was a senior. And he had like 4 sacks against us, but I was a guard. And then my senior year, I moved out to tackle. But I knew I had my work cut out for us, but we ended up beating Kansas City. That's when they had Albert Lewis and all those guys, and they had a great squad, and we ended up winning that game. But then we went to Buffalo the next week, and I think you know what happened after that.
Yeah, I know what happened after that. My first playoff game was in Houston, and the House of Pain.
That's what it is.
And we ended up winning the game in overtime. Rod Woodson caught an interception, and Gary Anderson kicked a field goal. And that field goal sounded so loud, like it was kicked out of a gun in that stadium. And then the next week, we go to Denver.
Whoa.
We wasn't too good in Denver. So we wasn't too good in Denver. And then on the way back, they had to do a call to New York and get a part. So we stayed in the airport all night. Now the season's over, so of course we started drinking.
Yeah.
We drank everything in that airport bar. We cleaned them out.
Cleaned it out, yeah.
Cleaned it out. Got back to Pittsburgh at 7 a.m, and fans were waiting for us at the airport at 7 a.m. I was like, this is some stuff.
That. I mean, that's one thing, when anytime you play for a fan base that's that loyal, and, as a player, you're already upset, but to come home and then, you got fans and they're clapping and welcoming you and showing you appreciation for not just that game, but for the whole season, because I think a lot of people realize how hard it is to actually get to the Super Bowl. And actually just make it to the playoffs is a great achievement, but to get to the Super Bowl, but to welcome you with open arms and celebrate you, this and that, it definitely helps numb a little bit of that pain. But when you lose in the playoffs, it's either win or go home. And it's not a good feeling. I do know that. So I definitely understand on that one there.
No, exactly. So tell me, what was it like to come in your first year and start for the Miami Dolphins, and you had Dan Marino as a quarterback? That had to be something, because you had a lot of expectations, especially being a first-round pick and the 9th pick overall.
No question. Me and Keith Sims got drafted 1 and 2 that year, and the thing that kind of worked out in our favor was the 2 guys that were starting, they were holding out for contracts. So Coach Shula used that opportunity to give us every rep possible, and went through preseason. I think my preseason games was, my first game was Richard Dent. My second game was, I think, Denver with Simon Fletcher, Carl Mecklenburg. Third game was Clyde Simmons with the Eagles. Reggie was on the other side, thank goodness. And my last game was Chris Dolman. So that's 2 out of 4 were Hall of Famers and didn't know it back then. So with that kind of indoctrination, it definitely helped get us prepared, and we got a ton of reps. I think we came out maybe 1 series that whole preseason, and helped get us ready and prepared. And the thing that I think that motivated me more than anything was, Dan Marino was already a legend, and I was like, man, I don't want to be remembered as the guy that gets this guy hurt. So I did everything possible not to get beat, and that was my motivation. But it definitely helped with Keith being another rookie, playing side by side, because it was almost unheard of to put 2 rookies on the blind side of the quarterback.
Right. But a lot of people don't know that before the games, when we always played, we always came out and spoke to each other.
Oh yeah,
and that's what I always liked about meeting you, and definitely later on down the road, we became really good friends, especially in Cincinnati. But tell me, what was that like when we went out there and started talking to each other right before the game?
Well, it was always good being being a young guy like me, and then looking up to guys that kind of played away like you and other veterans and stuff we met. But, majority of people I met welcome me with open arms, give you advice, things you need to do, things you need to work, because y'all had already been through it, and we were just from 1 week to the next. So to get an opportunity to meet veterans that play the same position that you do, and then being able to share a wealth of information and say, hey, you might want to do this, and that, and just, really appreciate what you're doing. That meant the world to me, and it forced me to kind of do the same thing with younger players. If I met younger guys, to, you always want to give back. And I always tell people, you never get to where you are by yourself. Someone's helped you along the way. So I appreciate that. And it's always good when you can always, talk to other former offensive linemen, this and that. And, man, that was a joy. And then, we couldn't talk as long after the game, because you only got to get on the bus to get out of there. But man, I always enjoyed that.
Yeah, I used to enjoy you guys coming out in those cutout shorts, showing all those muscles. And I'm like, what the hell are these guys doing?
I don't know if it was a muscle jack, but in Miami, you could do that. Now, in Pittsburgh, I wouldn't dare come out with cutoff sleeves. I probably have one of those big old Dolphin coats on or something like that. It was, I found out about that when I came to Cincinnati. We were playing up there, but, I was kind of spoiled playing in Miami. We had to deal with the humidity and stuff, but I'll take that any day over that cold weather.
So what was the coldest game you played in?
Coldest game I played in, I believe, was Chicago game. It was about my second year, whatever. It was so cold, and I found this out from a guy I went to college with. He had played in Chicago. He had came to the Dolphins. But if it gets too cold, it can't snow, and I never knew that. But the ground was frozen, and they had it tarped over. And I can remember, like, the day before the game, Coach Sheila had us out there trying to go through a walkthrough, and I'm like, man, it is cold. I don't know what. And I knew I was a young guy because I remember one of the veteran offensive linemen said, "Hey, we're not wearing sleeves today," and I was like, "What?"
Oh, you were a punk if you came out in sleeves.
Hey, bro. So, I came. They said, "Man, just put some Vaseline on your arms, this and that. You're gonna be all right." This and that. And I went out for. I can remember walking down that tunnel and go out on Soldier Field, and that wind met me in that tunnel, and I could have swore that wind was like a towel and just wiped all that Vaseline off my arm. I said, "Man, it is cold out here." So as soon as I got back to the locker room, I grabbed me some elbow sleeves. I could get away with that, and I made it through. Bro, that was a cold game. But the thing about weather like that is, as long as the game is close, you don't focus on the weather. But if you start winning by a lot or losing by a lot, you find yourself looking at that clock saying, "Man, how much longer before we get out of here?" But as long as the game stayed close or whatever, I think that was the key for me. If the games kind of stayed close, but if it was a blowout or we were getting blown out, it was harder to stay focused and concentrate because that wind and that cold weather can be brutal. I'm telling you that.
No, I agree with you because my coldest game was in Green Bay. This is how cold it was. I think the wind chill factor was 34 below.
Oh.
And you would take your helmet off and literally all the sweat on your hair would form ice. So before you put your helmet back on, you had to literally put your helmet on the ground, break up all the ice inside the helmet, take a towel and wipe your hair down, and then put your helmet back on. And it was still cold.
That's cold. Yeah.
I mean, it was just cold. I mean, you talk about a cold place. And then they would serve you some hot broth at halftime. I'm like, I need to get us more than some hot broth. It's cold out there. It's just cold.
I remember we had the heaters. Thank goodness they had those heaters. You could sit down on the sideline. They had the little steps you kick in to warm your feet up, or that little blower heater. Man, thank goodness I hadn't had to have one like that. But yeah, that's cold, bro.
No, but I'll tell you, back in the day, Chuck Noll didn't believe in those heaters. He believed in it was a distraction. So he had those blowtorch deals on the sidelines, and we still had those wooden benches.
Right.
But he didn't have the heated seats. We didn't have the heated seats until Kyra came. We were like, "Oh, we got heated seats? Oh, we good now." But no, we had to sit in the cold. And I remember Greg Lloyd putting his feet up on the heater.
Yeah.
And his shoes caught on fire. And imagine Greg Lloyd, and Greg Lloyd's like pounding and we're like, how's Greg Lloyd doing?
Yeah.
He's pounding his feet on the ground, and he's trying to get the fire out. He was trying to get the fire out. So that's cold, man. In Pittsburgh.
But you know what? It was, and I started like charting this: Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Green Bay, Chicago. Why do all the cold teams build their stadiums right by the river or whatever? All it does is make it colder. It's good in like September, but you got
it is good in September.
January.
So, hey, how many blizzards have you played in? Or remember the first blizzard you played in?
You know what? I don't know if it snowed a couple times in New England, but bro, I'm gonna tell you, I consider myself really fortunate that a lot of times it's supposed to be real cold. Maybe something happened to where it wasn't as cold as it should have been. Most of the time we had a late season game, we would either go to like New England, the Jets, or Buffalo. But other than that, most of the time we were pretty fortunate. So I guess I just caught them at the right time. But,
no, you caught them at the right time.
No blizzard, thank goodness.
Hey, you remember a time the Steelers came down to Miami, and it must have been 85 degrees out. It was probably late November, And I'm thinking to myself, we're going to die out here. It's too hot. I mean, we were practicing outside in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And it rained. And remember how much rain came down? It rained like crazy. The temperature dropped about 15 degrees. And all of a sudden, it's like the Steelers came alive. I'll never forget.
I couldn't believe that game. That was right before me and Keith got there. But we saw that game. We were watching film, and it was raining so much that you couldn't see in front of you. I mean, you know how to, like in the games, if it's raining, they would put a towel over the football to try. I'm surprised they didn't like call time and go in and let that blow over. I mean, just you couldn't see watching it on film. So I could imagine trying to be in a 3-point stance, trying to play a football game in that type of weather. It was crazy.
No, I'll tell you a funny story. So we go over to the sidelines and we sitting in a puddle because the rain from the stands came down.
Right. And
we're literally sitting with our shoes. And the worst thing for a lineman is to get his feet wet.
Yep.
That's a kiss of death. And that's a kiss of death. You can get your hands a little cold, but you start getting your feet wet and cold, no, you can't move as an offensive line. And I tell you, that was the craziest game I ever played in the rain because it was like night and day. So, hey, Richmond, so how was it like going from the Dolphins to the Bengals? I know I made a transition when I left the team that I've been with pretty much all my life, and I grew up there. So tell me the difference. I don't want to know how the team was. I just want to know how you felt when you left.
Well, I had been there for 11 years, so that was kind of a change. But, I tell people, man, I came to Cincinnati, and they seemed like they was genuinely happy that I was there, and they really welcomed me with open arms.
I was happy you were there.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this: I was happy you was there because I really didn't know a lot of guys, and you know them, but you don't know them personally. So that's why I say it definitely was in my favor to sit there and fellowship before the games, just that build some type of relationship. So I said, okay, I know John Jackson, so I got somebody I can talk to, this and that. But that was the biggest thing. But that gave me a comfort zone because I think it would have been tougher if I really didn't know anybody. You know players, but when you kind of got a relationship with a guy, it always makes a transition much easier.
Yeah. I mean, we had some good days and a lot more bad days than good days there, but we had some days though. We had some days.
We had some very special days in Cincinnati. I tell people, yeah.
And I'm gonna say this.
Okay.
What was the first thing I told you when you got there?
Still remember, you said, "Hey, you're gonna see some stuff here that you ain't never seen before in your life." And I can remember, seemed like every day or every other day, I would come to you, Jack, and you'd be like, don't say it because I already told you before. And you was just like, hey, man, but that helped me deal with it. But still, I know with you coming from the Steelers and now you were experiencing some of the same things. My first year, just that when you went, you didn't have a Richmond Webb or somebody possibly. You was just there by yourself.
Dude, I was like on an island by myself, and I'm like, man, I got to get off the island, or they got to bring somebody. They got to bring somebody at least keep me company. At least keep me company, because I tell you what, I mean, it wasn't so much as the players just had a different attitude.
Yeah,
and that's what I couldn't get, because it was one of those things where, all those guys are winners.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out of college, they're winners.
Yep.
But I think collectively, you got to get them on the right page.
Yep.
And for some reason, we just couldn't get on the right page. I mean,
had more talent. I would say sometimes that we had just as much as, if not more, talent than what I came from in Miami. And I think the thing that puzzles, the running backs, receivers. I mean, we had several high draft picks. Guys that could play, but it just, like you said, I think it was being in that culture and being in a system to where they just hadn't won. And I can remember talking to one of the guys after the game, and I just said, man, one bad thing happens and, just kind of just tanking and just go. And he say, well, that's what normally happens here. So that was their normal. If something bad happened, they found a way to just fall right in and never fought against it to try to break it. You know,
Right.
coming from like a place like Steelers or somewhere like that, you knew it was going to be momentum swings. You knew sometime, hey, we might start out, something bad happened, fumble, interception. Okay, let's gather ourselves. We can get back in this thing and we can swing it back. But if it ever swung there, it seemed like we never was able to get it back. And I think that was the thing that was tough to deal with up there.
Yeah. So you remember our other compadre, Mr. Neil. We always had a good time. Now I tell people about the person who warmed up the best I've ever seen, but wore me out when he warmed up. You remember him going out warming up? And me and you came out there one day and we were like, dude, I'm tired of watching him because he wore me out.
Yeah.
His warm-ups were crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah, huh? Yeah. He almost play a game before a game.
Yeah.
It'd almost be to the point that he'd have to take a shower just to freshen up to get ready to go back out again. And I just couldn't do that. Yeah.
I mean, he was a great fullback, great person. He always he was one of those people that he liked to do practical jokes. And he pulled a couple, and I still think nobody knows about him because they couldn't figure out who did it. But, I mean, great person. Definitely a person that, we both got to know because, he was in Tennessee. He blocked for Eddie George, and he came and blocked for Corey Dillon. But tell me about Corey Dillon. What kind of running back do you think Corey Dillon was?
Corey Dillon was the best running back that I blocked for my whole career. I mean, I think Corey was probably 225, maybe 6'1", 6'2", big back that could just stop on a dime and just had great vision and was very decisive, but always made the right decision as far as his cuts, knew how to put linemen on their blocks and just was, man, he was a special individual. And I was glad that, he got to go to New England to play for a team like that that he was a competitor, even though he was there and they would lose this and that. He truly cared about winning, and I think it was very frustrating for him. But I was glad to see that before his career was over, he actually got a taste of what it was to, be on a winning organization and stuff like that. But he's the best running back I blocked for.
Well, it didn't hurt. He got a ring too, so in New England.
Yeah.
That didn't hurt. But I think Corey between me and you, I think Corey got a raw deal, especially in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And everybody thought he was a bit arrogant. Corey wasn't arrogant. Corey was the most humble person I've ever been around, especially in the locker room.
Right.
I remember when you came the year before we broke that rushing record. And what did he offer you? Remember what he offered you? He gave out those watches. He goes, Richard, you want one? He's like, no, man, I didn't earn that. I didn't earn that.
Just that genuine, type of guy. I'm like, I appreciate it, but I wasn't part of that. You need to honor the guys that helped you achieve that accomplishment at that time in that season. But it was just showing that, he appreciated his teammates, and he just an ultimate warrior. He just was stuck in a bad system.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the Hall of Fame. And I'm telling you right now, you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Besides your character off the field, but your body of work on the field. Richmond, I mean, you did 7 consecutive Pro Bowl appearances. I mean, your rookie year, you were like all world. And you set a standard for yourself and for that offensive line that was hard to match. So I just want to know your thoughts on the Hall of Fame, because I think you've been up for it, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been up several times. The good thing is my name keeps coming up, and I think I'm definitely deserving of the honor. But it's just when they put in maybe 6 guys a year, sometimes you got to wait. Everybody don't have to wait, but some guys have to wait. So I still believe I got a shot at it. I was glad to see this past year, Steve Atwater, he had to wait for a while. He was, big time safety with the Broncos, and played against him in college. He was at Arkansas when I was at A&M. So I was definitely happy to see him actually get in there, and I saw him. Matter of fact, a few years, I think when Jason Taylor went into the Hall of Fame, I ran into Lorenzo Neal, Mike Goff, because they played with LaDainian Tomlinson out at San Diego. Those were just on grounds too. But got to see a bunch of those guys, and kind of sit back, talk, and reflect on this and that. So definitely think I got a shot. I think I'll get in there. It's just don't know when. But the good thing is my name keeps coming up in the conversation.
So what would it mean for you to go in the Hall of Fame?
That would be the ultimate. I don't think there's any higher award. I wasn't fortunate enough I made it to the playoffs, never played the Super Bowl. That's something I regret. But it's a team sport, and we got close a couple times. We just couldn't get over the hump. But, the Hall of Fame, it doesn't get any better than that. And like I tell people all the time, I'd have to thank a lot of my teammates and stuff like that, because even though they honor the individual, I've had so many people mentor, pour into my life, give me advice to help me succeed. So even though if I get that award, it's not just me, it's all the people that's helped me along the way. And I'll never forget that. And I'm definitely appreciative.
No, Richard, you're so deserving of that Hall of Fame. So tell me what was it like when you got out of football?
It was rough. My last year in Cincinnati, it was actually my second year, and
the year I got cut.
I got cut the next year. But anyway, I can remember Willie Anderson, right tackle, great young tackle, got hurt, and we had drafted a first round. I think I just had his name on there, but anyway, he came into the game. So when he came in the game, he said, "Hey, Paul Alexander said you go to right tackle." I never played right tackle in my life. Levi, that's his name, Levi. But so I go to right tackle. I think it's about third or fourth play, and we're playing Tampa Bay. Guy comes up the field and does an inside move. When I tried to hit him with my inside arm, I tore my pec. So I'm out for the rest of the season, this and that, and I rehabbed and stuff like that. And I can remember coming back, meeting with Paul Alexander. He said, "Hey, do you want to play?" Because you never really want your career to end on an injury. And I was like, "No, I'm gonna work to get back this thing." So okay, and then that was Marvin Lewis' first year. Would have been my third year there, but they made a decision to go in a different direction. And I had tried out for Tampa Bay and the Dolphins. It was later on. It was probably about the fourth or fifth week of the next season. And by that time, I had stopped working out. I said, if I can get signed in July, I had gained too much weight. And I came home and I was pissed off about that. And so for about 3 or 4 years, I had to get away from football, man. I didn't watch football. I just kind of stayed to myself. I guess I had to detox because every year around July or whatever, I would get anxious because it's the time you're in training camp. Well, there was no more training camp. So after about 4 years, I kind of started turning the TV back on, watching football, and kind of got back in. But those first few years after, my last year, it was tough because you used to being into a routine, and now it's just disrupted. And then it was disrupted with it not being really kind of on my own terms due to an injury or whatever. So just kind of working all those issues out. But after about 4 years, I kind of settled and kind of came back to myself and got back into it.
Right. So what was the first game you went back to watch in a live game? You remember that?
It would probably be, I think it was a Jet game, but normally we have alumni weekend in Miami. And it's normally one of our AFC East division opponents. I think it was the Jets that weekend, I want to say. I don't think it was Buffalo or New England. So I think it was the Jets game I went back to. And I can't remember if we won or not, but it was just good to be around a bunch of the old alumni teammates and stuff like that. And it's almost like being back in the locker room. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The stories get better, the lies get better, this and that. We all have a good time. And I was glad I did go back. But yeah, that's what I remember.
Right, but they do get a little longer though too, don't
they get longer, they get better. Yeah.
So what did it mean for you to go back and sign a day contract with the Dolphins? I mean, that had to be something. So I did it for the Steelers.
I can remember calling them up and telling them, I wanted to do that. And, it wasn't even a question. They were happy that, I wanted to do that decision. But, I had spent the majority of my career there, and that's what I felt was home. So it gave me a last little spotlight, got to do a few interviews, stuff like that. But it was good to go back, and that's why I always felt was home, even though I played in Cincinnati those last couple of years. But it was good. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. So you're a Dolphin for life. So I remember when I went back to Pittsburgh, well, when I left, Mr. Rooney was like, okay, is this personal or is this business? And I told him, this is business.
Right.
And I went out to San Diego, and I'll never forget what he told me. He was like, listen, when you're ready to come home, you just let me know. And when I was ready to retire, I called him up and said, I'm ready to come home. He said, come on home. And that meant the world to me, because now, I'm a Steeler for life.
Yeah.
Because you whatever team you retire with, that's the team that you're with, and you're a Miami Dolphin for life. But Richmond, I thank you so much for coming on this podcast. And brother, it is good to see you.
Good to be seen. That's what I tell people. It's and hey man, I really enjoyed it. I appreciate you having me on, and hopefully maybe later on during the season or something, maybe I get an opportunity to come back or something. Baby, I had a great time, a lot of fun, and I look forward to it.
Richmond, you are always welcome on this podcast, and you'll definitely be back. So,
and
thank you very much.
Make sure you tell the family I said hello.
I will, Richmond. Right. And the producer of the show is my youngest son,
I know,
Jordan.
Mr. Jack. Yeah, I've been in contact with him. Yeah, it's good, man.
That's my youngest.
Yeah.
So he does a great job with the podcast. But Richmond, thanks so much, and brother, we'll get together soon.
Sounds
good. Take care of the family. Tell the family I said hello, and let's just take one day at a time, bro. That's all we can do.
That's it. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay, right. Be good.